Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. One of my favorite people in the community is here today, Martin Hutchison. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Nice to be here with you, Greg.
Now, you are a pastor.
I am.
And you are a Community of Joy Church.
Uh-huh.
Which is a great church there on Middle Boulevard.
It's a little church on Middle Boulevard. Well, actually, it's on South and Smith.
Right. Yeah, that's right. South Boulevard.
One over from Middle. Depends on which direction you're going.
But great little congregation, active, great kid population in there.
We have some kids, yes. And we're very active in the community. We call ourselves the Little Church with a Big Heart.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, what you're most known for is you're the Secretary of Gardens.
Secretary of Community Gardens.
Of Community Gardens. Uh-huh. And you came up with this idea of 5 years ago?
We're in our 5th growing season at Camden.
Right.
And 4th growing season at Boundless. And 2nd growing season at Waterside.
Now, this is one of those things I thought, this is a good idea, but we'll never be able to sustain anything like this.
I remember you saying that. We're in our 5th season.
And you, sir, are going gangbusters, and now that it's spring, you're out there.
Yep, we were there on Saturday in that blustery cold wind.
Yeah.
There were 10 adults and 4 children working hard for 2 hours.
Wow, and it just gets bigger every year.
It connects with more people every year.
Right.
The layout isn't getting any bigger.
In terms of philosophy, yeah.
Yeah, we have 20 beds at Camden, and we're not growing any bigger than that.
Right.
We are converting them from wood frame to cement block frame because the wood's rotting after 5 seasons.
Years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what do you grow?
We grow just about anything. Don't grow watermelons, cantaloupes, pumpkins.
Take up too much room.
They take up a lot of room, and then we grew sweet potatoes one year, and they got messed with. People recognized what they were, dug in the bed, and disturbed them enough that they didn't produce enough to make it worthwhile tying up a bed for the better part of a season.
And you can buy sweet potatoes cheaper than you can grow them.
I don't know. Probably
Pretty much you can, yeah. So what this thing has done, though, is in terms of that neighborhood, it's really like galvanized it and made it kind of a different environment there.
It has, but it's a neighborhood that's always in flux. And so last year we saw some of our mainstay kids and families leave and some new families come in. And so then you have the process of introducing them to the garden etiquette, how to leave things alone and recognize that it's a community, it's something for the community. It's not.
Right.
So we've been working at that and getting to know new neighbors, which is a neat part of that process.
Right.
We did see a decrease in crime the first couple of years, and I don't know what last year's statistics showed. It felt like it was ramping up just a little bit, and then when we get there and start working, it kind of goes away.
Well, what the mayor told me one time, and he said, don't say this to Martin because he'll get a big head, but he said there's no crime around the garden anymore, especially compared to how it used to be.
I think that's a true statement a couple of years ago. I'm not sure where it is now.
Right.
I haven't asked.
Right. So how does the garden affect the community? How do you see it affecting the people who live around it?
So we see all the time, saw it on Saturday, neighbors from farther away from the garden and neighbors in closer proximity to the garden, as well as neighbors that don't live anywhere in the neighborhood who just want to get involved in community gardening, come and work side by side, and not long, hey, I'm so-and-so,
right.
I'm so-and-so, and so neighbors meet neighbors, so disconnected neighbors become more connected. We see bored children that play on the playground come over often and want to know what we're doing and ask if they can help and get involved in that process. Sometimes you see an element that hangs out in the gazebo that you kind of wonder when you're pulling up what they're into and what they're up to. And it's not long after you're there, if you got a couple of people, that they kind of disperse and go away. And so you think, well, maybe they were up to something that was no good. And I think that's kind of how the crime got pushed away a little bit when we
Right.
first started. We introduced a whole bunch of people coming to this place on a regular basis, and it changes the dynamic that's
Right.
going on in the playground.
And the idea is spread. You're out to the Boundless playground now and over East Church Street area.
That's correct. The model was to try to get city lots that are adjacent to playgrounds
Right.
where we could draw and attract children, especially teach them a new skill, teach them where food comes from, teach them about eating healthy vegetables. So we went to the Boundless Garden next, and then ultimately 2 years later we went to the Waterside Community Garden as well
Right.
on Fitzwater Street. And then we have a garden that I helped with that's out at the Salvation Army Hazel Center on Jersey Road.
Right.
But I don't have a whole lot of involvement in that now.
Any new areas that you want to try to move to?
Well, we've identified a number of neighborhoods where we'd like to see gardens. We've kicked around one in the Church Street neighborhood.
Right.
The challenge is finding the group that's going to host it. What we've discovered is the most successful gardens are those gardens that have a champion or leader, someone who's going to be there consistently and who's going to organize the work parties, who's going to kind of give some sense of direction to the garden process. And those gardens that don't have that are not as successful.
Right. So if I'm interested in maybe leading something like that, are you the one I contact?
I would be happy to talk to
Right.
you if you're interested in gardening, or if someone else is interested in gardening or leading a garden. If you know of a vacant lot that you'd like to see a community garden on, contact us. The city has a map, color-coded, of all of the lots that are city-owned. The city, if it's possible, we will work through a process. We've streamlined that process to lease the lot for $1 a year. And the city will pay for the water, both the installation and the water
Really?
usage. Yes.
Okay, wow.
The first year we paid, and that was about $1,000. And then after that, Mayor Day said, this is silly. This is a huge benefit to the neighborhood.
Right.
We ought to take care of covering the cost of that water, so they do.
Where does the food go?
So the food goes to anyone who comes into the garden and picks it. We early on picked it for people, discovered that laying vegetables on a table in the garden next to a playground was not a good idea.
Right.
It was a temptation for kids to throw. And so we decided then we would teach people how to pick vegetables when they're ready. So last year we came up with a red stake, green stake system, where if the bed has a green stake in it, that means that there might be something in there ready to pick.
Cool.
And if it has a red stake, please leave it alone.
Right.
And then we have an Amish-style sign at the end of the garden that says, help yourself too, and then we hang what's ready. And there's also a corresponding sign in the bed. In our garden, it's in, at the Camden Garden, it's in English and Spanish right now.
Where'd you get the idea to do this? Where did you ever think that this would be something that would help the community?
Well, so I grew up on a 4,000-acre farm, almost 4,000-acre farm in Talbot County, and have had gardens all my life. Watched my father and grandfather garden as a young boy. Never really participated in that. Then when I got married, in all of the churches that we pastored, we're now in our third and final. We had a garden in those locations, grow our own food. I love the garden. And I'm always looking for ways to get the church engaged in the community, to be a blessing. I feel like the church ought to be an agent of blessing of our neighbors. And so I thought it would be a great idea to use something I'm familiar with to teach people a new process, to engage with neighbors, not necessarily to evangelize them, but just to be a blessing. And to develop relationship. I also thought that in the process prior to the Camden Community Garden, I had a battle with Lyme disease, and I learned how important good nutrition is toward that and the health of your body. And so I wanted to be able to make fresh organic vegetables available for people who might not be able to afford them.
The summer program kids come by there.
We do. We have summer lunch at the community garden. It's actually in the playground, but we call it summer lunch at the
Right.
garden. And it's in its fourth year.
And it's well attended and
It
very
is
much appreciated.
30 to 40 kids.
Yeah.
Different partners provide the meal, and then we engage them in some kind of an activity for half an hour to 45 minutes. Just recently, the Rotary Club, the last couple of years, the Rotary Club, the Evening Club, has supported an art instructor and supplies for art in the garden.
That's right, yes.
And that the kids love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah. If I want to help you, how do I do? Just show up?
So we try to have 2 work nights or work times a week in the heavy part of the growing season, and then when things kind of settle down, we go to 1. Our Facebook page, Camden Community Garden, is the best way. We promote it there. We also promote it on the private social media network, Camden or Next Door Neighbor, and I only do it in the Camden section of that because I really only want it. While we don't have a gate, we don't lock it, we don't police it, we really want it to be for the Camden neighborhood. If other neighborhoods want to have a garden, we'd like to encourage them
Sure.
to have their own. And I saw just recently that Del Mar is getting into the community gardening business, and they consulted with me, I think it was 3 years ago. A couple came down from the town and were interested in finding out about community gardens, so it took them a while, but they're in the process of putting some beds in, which is exciting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Part of your community activism, things you manage and worry about, help us understand. You've worked with the homeless issue here in town.
I have for the better part of 15 years, a collection of churches brought a model back from Richmond, Virginia, where we would use our empty facilities during the week to house homeless men during the cold weather months in an emergency shelter type model. And when Community of Joy bought its building on South Boulevard in 2007, we ripped the pews out and put chairs in so that we could move them and host the homeless shelter in our facility, in our sanctuary. And then we don't have a kitchen, so we went next door to Bethany Lutheran and borrowed their kitchen, and then they joined us, and then the Restoration Project joined us, then Beacon of Light joined us, so the 4 churches do 2 weeks.
Right.
We've outgrown our facility, and this year we were able to use rent-free the facility at the Langler Memorial Building, Wycomico Presbyterian Church
Right.
owns on Division Street, North Division Street. And then last year we rented a warehouse, paid some big dollars to rent a warehouse so that we could house the 50 guys that they were housing, because I didn't want to tell 20 guys they couldn't
Right.
come in.
Right. And it's a pretty consistent number, or is it growing, or is it better?
It grows, it changes. We see some of the same faces year after year.
Yeah.
The city, Mayor Day, has done a fabulous job of getting chronic homeless folks off the street. I think they're up to 31 that they've put in housing in a Housing First program, and doing great work.
Right.
With that, we're hoping to help them do more, get more of the chronically homeless off the streets and wrapped with case management.
Right.
We think that's the way to end. You'll never totally do away with
Right.
the problem of homelessness, but you can decrease the number of homeless people by putting them in housing and wrapping them with case management. And so I'm working at gathering a task force to address the issue of homelessness in the coming months and year.
You deserve special appreciation, at least from me, for your work with Grace Murdoch with the kindness
I love
initiatives,
Grace.
which is
She's such a sweetheart.
you're such a great wingman for her. So I think it's just thank you so much for all that you do with.
Oh,
with her.
absolutely. We feed off of each other. We encourage each other. It's a neat connection and story for the two of us. Way back when my youngest daughter was in kindergarten and first grade, she was at Beaver Run, and Grace was the dean of students, or the vice principal. I never can remember
Right.
which was her title. And it was a rocky time for our daughter. She had a lot of separation anxiety, and was struggling, and Grace became a real friend.
Wow.
To her and to us. And then, as it would happen, we kind of lost contact. And then in 2016, when the first TEDx talk happened in Salisbury,
Right.
Grace and I showed up on the stage
Right.
together, and we rekindled our friendship and have been cheerleaders for each other ever since.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And another thing you did for all of us, and I don't know if you realize this or not, but when we lost Aaron Hutchison, none of us knew how to feel. And you really helped walk us through that emotional road. And I just want to thank you for that, because I still don't know how to feel, but you have helped
Yeah.
guide me through that. So thank you for being his friend, and thank you for helping
Well,
all of us.
It was an honor to be his friend, as you know, and he is dearly missed.
Yeah.
Very much so. I miss him every day, and I was grateful to be called on to have a role the night of the vigil, though I really didn't feel like I should be that person,
Right.
but I was willing to step into that.
You could tell you were uneasy about it, but everyone
Well, I was.
everyone was looking to you like, help us figure this out.
I was uneasy mostly because I didn't have time in that day to prepare to get my thoughts together, and I don't like to speak off the cuff,
Yeah.
especially something as important as that. But I just prayed and trusted God to provide the words, and they came. And then I have, afterwards I tried through social media to be a person to help kind of focus our community's attention, thoughts a little bit. Actually, right now in my truck, I have 11, the last 11 of the bull mugs, the ceramic
Wow.
mugs that Brent Zockel made
Right.
to deliver to people that bought them. It'll be about $1,000, a little over $1,000 that's donated from the proceeds of those to Maryland Special Olympics here on the Eastern Shore
Excellent.
in his honor, in his memory.
Martin Hutchison, thanks so much for what you do for the community, and thanks for being here today as our
I
guest.
am but a servant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joining me now in the studio is Caroline OHare. She's in charge of our National Folk Festival here in Salisbury, and they just recently announced a bunch of acts that are coming in September. Welcome, Caroline.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So it's a long way away, but we're really excited about this thing already.
It is a long way away, but it doesn't feel like it. I feel like it's happening next week, and we have so much news coming out, and artists being announced, and volunteers volunteers are going to be able to sign up in like about a month.
Wow.
I mean, it's the ball is rolling really quickly down that hill.
I'm excited every time I hear who's coming.
Yeah, it was last year was a chance for everyone to sort of figure out what this was.
Right.
And everyone I've heard from cannot wait for this to come back. So I'm very excited for that. And so with each announcement, we just get even more like excitement and sort of chatter, and everyone's just sort of talking it up. So I feel like this festival is going to be even bigger and better.
Is there anyone that you might think that I might really enjoy of the collection of what you've signed up so far?
Absolutely. In fact, the Hot Club of Cowtown is coming.
Yes.
And the sounds that they evoke are amazing. They are Western swing and hot jazz combined together. They're a lot of fun. People are very excited that they're coming to Salisbury. It's a trio. I believe they're from Texas
Right,
as well.
they are, yeah.
Yeah. And I love their bassist, actually. He really plays that thing well. But the sounds that they evoke and the music is just a lot of fun and great to dance to.
And you probably have an order here, but the other one I noticed was the Hawaiian group that you just announced.
Kahula Nui is this incredible swing band from Hawaii. And in the 30s, the ballrooms and the hotels in Hawaii had these amazing big band swing bands there. And this group, a very large group, I think there's about 10 of them, are bringing back that sound. So it's so much fun, but they have like a Hawaiian twist.
Right.
So there's Hawaiian instruments mixed in, and some of the songs are actually in Hawaiian. So you've got like this big band swing thing going on, and there's a ukulele involved,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of fun.
I listened to that on YouTube, and I was like, I cannot wait to hear these guys. This is going to be great. Who else are you thinking of that you want to see?
Adonis Puentes. He is a singer from Cuba, and he has that sort of sort of hot Cuban jazz sort of sound. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to dance to, and it reminds me a lot of the Buena Vista Social Club
Right.
and that music. In fact, I believe he was actually inspired by that music and is continuing that sound. He is fantastic. Aurelio, who is from the Griffina people in Honduras. It's just sort of, it reminds me of the music that you sort of like jam out to at the beach, and you're just sort of like, it's just a happy, joyful music. And he was also, this is so incredible, he was a senator in the Honduran government.
Wow.
I got to see Eddie Cotton Jr. in Richmond. He is awesome. He is great. He's from Clinton, Mississippi, and he plays soul blues. He calls it soul blues because it's music that moves your body and your soul. So when he's singing, there's no way that you're just sitting there listening to this guy. He's gonna blow everyone away. He's awesome. Let's see, who else? We've got Anov Ganawa is also coming. I got to see them in Greensboro. They're a Moroccan Ganawa band. It's sort of like trance-like music, sort of repetitive, but these are guys from Brooklyn. They live in Brooklyn. They're carrying on this Ganawa music and culture and tradition, but they have a bit of a modern twist to them, where you have modern DJs and festivals around the country and around the world incorporating their music or jamming with them and stuff like that. So you might see them at Bonnaroo, or you might hear them with someone that's a DJ at a club, and it's sort of really cool how you're mixing this really old music with sort of new music. So it's very it's very interesting to listen to. I quite like them. I'm excited that they're coming to Salisbury.
Now you mentioned DJ, and from Washington D.C., DJ Cool's going to be here.
I know. Oh my goodness.
He's someone I've actually heard of.
He's the special guest with just the most amazing go-go band, Rare Essence. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Go-go is
DC.
really part of the DMV. It's part of DC, Maryland, Virginia, and it's got this amazing sort of like repetitive call and response funk music. It's so much fun, and it's influenced so many artists. If you listen to Single Ladies by Beyonce, that is go-go. That is a go-go beat under there. So go-go is a lot of fun. It's amazing that we get to bring this very interesting subculture of DC to Salisbury, and special guest, DJ Cool.
That's so cool. And it's cool with a K.
It's cool with a K.
Which makes it extra cool.
Absolutely. We also have the Jones Benally family dancers coming. They are from Arizona. They're Navajo hoop dancers, and Jones Benally is the patriarch.
And he's like revered. It's like your patriarch is correct. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
No worries, no worries.
You could tell that. It's going to be this really cool thing, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's incredible, and we're very lucky to have him. He's in his mid-90s.
Yes.
His children perform with him, and his grandchildren perform with him. And they evoke different shapes of animals and nature. And they, again, the Navajo hoop dancing is something you don't get to see every day. And to have a master like Jones Benally come and demonstrate and perform we're very lucky to have that. So very excited about him.
And I was intrigued, there's a Balkan band.
There is. They play tambouritsa music, and it is all strings. I think there's 6 of them. I may be
It's a bunch of guys, yeah.
Bunch of guys, all string instruments, and very fast and very energetic music.
Great precision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I was intrigued, historic bluegrass country music woman from North Carolina.
Actually, yes, she is incredible. Sheila K. Adams. She she's a storyteller, and she's a singer. She plays music from Appalachia, and this is musical traditions and songs from the last 300 years.
Right.
But her storytelling is my favorite part. Her music is wonderful, but I love the stories she tells because they are very funny. They're very dry, but the way she describes her upbringing, because these are all true stories, mixed with a bit of fantasy and color in them, they are just wonderful. I can't wait to see her.
She commands the stage. She really
She does. She once you're hooked into one of her stories, you're not leaving. And I hope that your viewers go on to nationalfolkfestival.com. We've got video clips, audio, bios, photos for everyone to sort of check out these artists, and definitely check out Sheila K. Adams. She is fun. I'm really excited she's going to be here. You know who you're going to really dig is Jerry Douglas. The Jerry Douglas Trio. Jerry Douglas is a master dobro player. He went to a concert with his father when he was 7 years old, and there was a dobro player. He saw this performance when he was 7. He said, "That's what I want to do."
Wow.
And by the way, I'll become the best in the world at it.
Wow.
And he is incredible. That's another artist that's coming to Salisbury that people, at least online, because I love reading everyone's comments and all that fun stuff, that are saying, I can't believe Jerry Douglas is coming to Salisbury for free. My backyard, the best dobro player in the world. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who else is on your list?
Yamini Kaluri is coming. She is a classical Indian dancer. And
Yes, intrigued by this as well. I remember now. Go ahead. Sorry.
she is wonderful. She performs a dance called the Kuchipudi dance, and the expressions on her face and the grace of her movement, it's storytelling through dance.
It's like a sacred river thing too, and all that.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. She actually is so exquisite and so talented. She studied dance as a young girl,
And
but
she's beautiful.
she is gorgeous. By the time she was 12, her instructor had her teaching other people.
How many total performers will there
We'll
be?
have about 35 groups, I
35.
think it is,
Yeah.
maybe around there. But yeah, they're coming out, and then we have our festival marketplace. The applications
Very
are closing
impressed by the
very
level
soon, April
of-
1st, and the talent that has applied to be in the festival marketplace has blown me away. We have a lot of people returning from last year, but all these new artists from all over Maryland, all over Delmarva Peninsula, and just such a wide variety of art forms. So I'm excited that we get to announce who's going to be selected in a few weeks.
That's excellent. And now these people will be here. They'll perform multiple times over the different venues. So if you miss them on Friday, you might be able to see them Saturday or Sunday, which is all good. Is the layout of the festival going to be pretty much the same with the stages and stuff?
The layout will be around the same. There'll be some tweaks. We're moving a few sort
You've
of.
learned some stuff.
Yeah, we've
obviously.
learned some things. We're streamlining, seeing what worked, what didn't, what could be improved on. And so there'll be little tweaks, but for the most part, the footprint's about the same. Next year, it's going to change a little bit.
Right.
But this year, it's about the same. And we're just excited that I can't believe it's coming in September, but we're just excited to sort of go bigger and better from last year, because last year was amazing. So now we've set the challenge for ourselves. Okay, you did a great job last year, make it even better. And we're going to do that.
The folk life elements, have they been chosen yet?
The one thing that does change every year with the folk festival is the Maryland Folklife area.
Okay.
So last year, Maryland Folklife celebrated Chesapeake traditions, and this year it's going to focus on Maryland Masters.
Okay.
So the Maryland State Arts Council has a program where they pair up Maryland Masters and apprentices to work together to learn and explore Maryland traditions. So that could be music or dance, or working traditions like boat building or crabbing or duck decoy carving or like barbering,
Sure.
Things like that. We probably won't bring everyone back. We try not to repeat each year.
The Muskrat Lady, I walked away from that, but she had a big crowd. Everyone wanted to see
Yeah,
that.
it's amazing. She did eel pots as well. I mean, it will definitely, that area will definitely be different this year. And next year will be different as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
It was just really, really amazing.
So thankful for the support from PRMC, and that stage was amazing, and I'm so happy you had a great time
Yeah.
there. I love looking at just the images of just an entire like hillside covered with people on blankets enjoying.
Everyone
this
smiling.
Yeah, everyone, and dancing in the front and having a great time. And then the amphitheater is such an amazing addition to the city, and there's movies. I think that it's soon.
Yeah, we have a movie series about to start. Yeah.
Movie series and concerts, and right when the amphitheater opened, I think I saw 2 weddings go on there. So it's a really great community space, and we're very lucky to be able to include it in the festival.
Caroline, what's the website? If I want to look up more, where do I go?
nationalfolkfestival.com. You can find out about all the artists. You can find out about Marketplace, about being a food vendor, which is another thing that's going to close soon, April 1st. We're selecting all our food vendors. Really amazing food that for folks that have applied this year. And, you can also probably find out how to volunteer. At the end of April, we'll be opening up volunteer slots. The exact slot that you want, the time, the day, the job, we'll have that ready. We want to do that much earlier this year, so that was one of our improvements, and so we're hoping to get that out by the end of April at the latest.
She's Caroline OHare. She's the local director for the National Folk Festival here in Salisbury. She's got a lot of pressure on her. She's going to have a great event this September, and we're thrilled that you're here today.
Thanks so much.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of One on One right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and One on One. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.